Hello, Steve Alton from the BII. Thank you so much for joining us on our Hospitality Talks vlog. Really appreciate you taking the time. Most of the people that are watching this now or listening to this now will know exactly who you are and who the BII are. But just for clarity, do you want to just do a brief introduction as to who you are, what the BII do, and what your place in all of that is?
Yeah, thanks, Katy. So I'm the chief exec of the BII. I've been working in transition with Mike List the last few months. So that's going to come to an end, and Mike's going to continue supporting us, particularly important in this very interesting time, which I'm sure we'll come back to. The BII is an individual membership organisation within the licensed trade, and right now we're trying to support our members through probably the toughest time they've ever faced.
Okay, so tell me, Steve, in your opinion, what current state is the BII in? You know, what have been the immediate effects of the coronavirus situation on the BII as an organisation?
Yeah, it's interesting times for the BII. You know, we're not insulated from what's happening to our membership, but equally, we're well aware that, as I said earlier, pubs are in a really critical phase of their life, and our members really need our help. So where we are right now is we're doing absolutely everything we can to support our members through this. That's our sole focus. We are fully operational. We moved to home working last week. All of the team have responded incredibly well. We have all the technology to make that happen and stay connected. We're talking once a day to make sure we understand what's going on, and importantly, what's really mattering right now to members, because things are changing so rapidly, and it's making sure we're giving really clear, actionable information to our members. So it's important we're checking in as they go through this and understand what they need to do at what point, that we're advising them correctly. So the team are there. They've been there from day one. We haven't had any downtime at all, which is fantastic. And they feel passionately to do everything they possibly can. They genuinely care about our members and their pubs, and feel desperately sorry for what they're going through right now. So they're constantly thinking of ideas and other things that we can be doing to improve our support.
Mm-hmm. And so presumably, I mean, my second question is always, how has your business adapted, and what effect are those adaptations having on your business? So, but presumably, obviously, you're all working from home, but things like the helpline are still running, but I would imagine capacity. So how are you adapting the business to cope with just the sheer numbers, I would imagine, and unless I'm wrong, but I would imagine the sheer numbers of people who are contacting the BII for help and support?
Yeah, we've had to scale up. So in normal times, if we can remember what that was like, we had less of all of our people on the calls all the time. So we've really just made sure the whole team has been available. The technology has helped massively for that. So we're able to take messages if we're unable to answer the call there and then, and we're pretty much rapidly straight back to them. We're very fortunate. We work with some brilliant partners that support our wider help desk. We've actually got 6 help desks across all the key technical areas that our members need help with, and they've been brilliant. So doing a number of things. One is staffing up to make sure that they're responding really quickly. Secondly, is giving us that feedback about what are the topics that are being most asked about or the most help is required, and then making sure we're proactively sending content out. And if that's help guides or templates or documents or connecting members' experiences of an effective way of doing something. I mean, the other day, very early on, the HMRC were flagged to us as being incredibly appreciative of the situation and able to make some adjustments there and then. So we quickly flagged that member experience out to the rest of our membership, who weekly made sure that was one of the actions they took pretty early on in this current series of events. So we've had to adapt, and that scale hasn't really dropped off. I think day in, day out, the nature of the questions change as things develop, but still right now, whilst we are really supportive of the scale of the government support, it's not as yet made it into cash to our members, to their pubs, and that's what they need. So until that's done, that's at the heart of what we do. So our adaptation, if you like, is just focusing on what matters. So the first thing is getting the cash going and making sure as soon as that information is available on what they actually have to do, we're pushing that out, we're making it really, really easy. So they're not having to, again, steer the way through the internet and make sense of what is quite frankly an overload of information. So that's the first area. The second is, whilst that's happening, what else could they be doing? So what other actions could they be taking? So it's things like, how do you effectively lock sites down? You know, taking some simple steps now to safeguard resources, costs, reduce running costs for when, when we get through this, and absolutely believe we will get through this, and we need to reopen those venues. But there's lots of things we can be doing right now. We're using our partners to help with that advice. So there's some things that you can do, including at the right time, and it isn't necessarily right now, but what are we doing around things like training and all those good things that we can be doing whilst we've got, obviously sites closed. That said, we've got a lot of members who are taking advantage of takeaway and delivery services, which is fantastic. They're providing a really needed service when, whilst the grocery sector is doing a fantastic job, and they should be thanked, in line with the frontline workers in the NHS as well, because we're all being fed, but at times it's difficult to get that supply. And actually having pubs out there that are delivering great food to their local communities is amazing. And a lot of our pubs, I'd argue, have had to adapt far more than we have, and in a really short amount of time, and they've done it incredibly well. And on top of that, they're doing other community activity as well. Their staff are out there really helping because they care, which is fantastic to see.
Yeah, I've had some fantastic conversations actually over the last 2 or 3 days with publicans and finding out what they're doing and how they're doing it. And the pub is the centre of the community, and it continues to be so even when it's closed, it seems, which is fantastic. Okay, so what do you think then? I mean, again, this is a question I asked somebody yesterday, but none of us know the answer. But what does the future look like for the BII? I mean, what will have changed that you think won't change back when we do get through all of this? And what's the new normal look like?
Yeah, the new normal is an interesting question, isn't it? I think we'll see the world very differently. I think for quite a long period of time, I think this has made everybody reassess priorities, what's really important. I think there'll be a desperate need to reconnect, with friends, colleagues, family, community, and then at the heart of that is the pub. It always has been, it always will be, and there's going to be such a massive opportunity. Because everybody will have this desire, this burning desire to go back to the pub, to re-establish those contacts. So I think that's fabulous. That's the opportunity. So part of what's in store for the BII is to help our members recognise that once we're beyond this initial, pain, and moving through to hopefully a little bit more stability where they can think about the future, that we're really thinking about the best relaunch for the whole sector, for our members, for their pubs, because all those drivers are, and better than anybody in terms of, KAM has been a big advocate of that insight on consumers and what they expect. That's still there. That's not going away. The goodwill comes in waves, but you're going to have to deliver a great experience. So it then is more than just an initial wave of goodwill. And then you are rebuilding long-term habits, long-term loyalty. We're making sure the offer's right, the experience is right, because that's what everybody wants, is a fabulous experience when they come back. So that's part of what we're there to help with. So there's lots of ways I think we need to help and again change from what necessarily we're doing right now, which is what matters right now, to sharing great stories. So you talk about some of the community stuff, we want to hear those stories. Part of the asset of the BII with its 8,000 members is to share the experiences, to take advantage of that shared experience, because nobody's out there hasn't faced one dilemma or one issue or one challenge, and it's how do we join them all up. And that's true now and will be ever true going forward. So it's, again, what does the most effective relaunch look like? How do you take advantage of that, literally that wave of customers that will just be desperate to get back to a great pub?
Definitely, absolutely agree, and I will be first in line, I can assure you. Steve Alton from the BII, thank you so much for your time, and I wish you health and happiness for the rest of the week.
Thank you, it's our pleasure. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks.